We're going to go live now, guys.
Okay.
Welcome, folks, to the ARW discussion. And along with the usual crew here today, we've got Master Machinist and YouTube star Joe Piezinski here as our guest of honor. And so if you've got some machining questions to ask somebody that knows the answers, now's your chance.
No, I can tell you. Not everybody speak at once.
Oh, we scared him off here.
We lost him.
Oh, no.
He'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah, somebody, he put a video out earlier today telling everybody to be here. And so I'm sure that
what kind of head count you have, Harold?
Huh?
What kind of head count do you have right now?
I've got 40 viewing.
Yeah, we got Joe back.
Yeah, and we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 of us on screen, so that looks about right.
Harold, am I supposed to be seeing anybody else on screen here? I got a black screen with a bunch of names.
You should be able to see everybody. This must be your connection's not good.
Yeah,
you should be able to see. Yeah, you should be able to see all these guys.
Like he's frozen now.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I just got black screen here. I do apologize for that.
Well, just pretend you see these guys. I'm the only handsome one anyway.
We can see you. Whoop.
Yeah.
So much
you will see us in the videos. That's not a problem. We'll be okay.
I think
Chuck, you still have a problem with your mic.
It'll work out. One of his guys asked on the number 23 discussion earlier today a bunch of questions about why the old guys. He was asking about why the old guys buy lathes and Starrett tools and all this stuff keeps showing up at their house. And I told him I couldn't imagine. I don't know the answer to that.
I got a discussion item to kick off.
All right.
So, you guys see that all right?
Cool.
So,
I can see that.
Yeah. So I just did a bunch of repair work on one of our cars. So I bought a bunch of bearings. So this is wheel bearings. I bought some Timken wheel bearings. And when I opened up the box, they had Koyo bearings inside. So I go, what the heck's going on? I figured somebody did the switcheroo, but everything was factory sealed. And then I was reading the package, and it says Timken service parts are carefully chosen from select manufacturers. So
Yeah.
they're doing the switcheroo on us. Just wondering if anybody else has run into that.
Timken is only a name anymore.
They used to be the best bearing out there at one point.
They were, and they were one of the last ones in my industry that was still made in the USA.
Right.
But I've been out of it for 5 years now, so I don't know where they are.
Yeah. Well, I was okay with the Koyos. I mean, that's a good brand, but it's just surprising to see something else in the box.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I bought some of those Chinese bearings that come like 10 of them in a little tube. I've bought some of those, but I haven't bought any bearings at the local bearing store, I guess, in 30 years.
I do know a manufacturer
over here, the most we use is SKF. So that's a good brand.
Yeah.
I had a manufacturer that represented, and it really sold on its name for 100 years. And when they started putting import product we started complaining to the manufacturer. And the rep basically came back to us and said, don't worry about what's in the box. Worry about what's on the box because we're still standing behind it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, that was quite a thrill there, Chuck.
Yeah. I gave up on my iPad.
All right.
Some computers just don't have the horsepower.
Yeah, I think the internet is the most important part of this whole StreamYard thing. Is good, fast internet.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have a good connection. That's for sure.
I don't know if you can see my iPad, the patch job there in the.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I dropped it out of the back of my truck, so it's all taped up.
Oh, man.
It works, but
It's a little JB Weld on it.
yeah.
Flex seal.
Yeah, I've been using it.
You will
Spares
cast a
I
new
use
one.
like
It's not a
Luxury.
problem. He will fix it. Yeah.
Yeah. The subject for today being where do you get the ideas for your projects? Anybody want to tell me where they get the ideas?
Ooh. I get them from you guys.
That's where I get my ideas. So I knew there
Monkey
was
see, monkey do, right, Billy?
yeah.
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 Well, I did come up with a couple of my own.
I would say the same thing. Yeah. And the other one would be necessity when you got some type of repair and you got to make a tool for it or a bracket or something.
Absolutely, Dean. Most of my projects are from necessity to accomplish either a certain type of cut or repair job. It's out of necessity, and that all you guys know, one thing just leads to another, and then all of a sudden you're making a new tool, and then you're making a part for that tool, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
About half the time you're making a tool to make a tool.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Harold.
I got one right now I'm trying to work on. I got a couple of these air ratchets. This one's a Blue Point, and then I got another one that's a Craftsman, and they're interesting. They must come right out of the same factory. I mean, you could put parts from one in the other, and I've been trying to find. You can see the hole there.
Hey, Joe's back.
Goes back.
Yeah.
Joe's back.
Hey, Joe. So the little plug cap here that goes on the other side of the air valve,
They're plastic.
they're plastic and they break.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
So-
plastic's for.
Yeah. So I've been looking everywhere to try to find replacement, and I gave up.
So did you cut a 556 thread too, Dean?
It's M11.
That's a 256. Don't rob me
Oh,
out of 3.
sorry, Joe.
No, so it's M11. It's M11 by 1.25, and that's not easy to find. So
That's why you can cut it yourself, my friend.
well, I got an ancient lathe that only does imperial.
Oh.
So I ended up buying this is a flywheel bolt for it's for a Volvo.
Oh, that's grade
flex-
10, Dean.
Yes. So I had to anneal it, and my plan was I made a little collet, a little split bushing, and the first thing I got to do is bore it out because you got to do a counter bore to hold the spring. So this is a pretty good work holding challenge. So I was thinking I would counter bore it first to the right depth using my little homemade collet. And then once I got that done, then I can put it in a 5C collet. And then I got to put a little O-ring groove right under the head and then turn the head down. And then after that's done, then cut it to length. And then at some point I got to put a screw slot in the top. But it's a lot of steps just to make a simple little plug.
Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty complicated.
But just before, like an hour before we got on the air today, I actually found these. I really haven't searched. Yeah, they're $6 each. But heck, I did order 2, but I'm still going to try to make one just to see if I can do it.
It's more fun wasting half a day and using $20,000 worth of machinery to make something you can buy for $3.
Yeah,
That's the American way, right?
I do that a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, except I don't have that many $20,000 machines.
I think it's a bit bizarre that this metric 11. I don't think that even exists.
It's very rare.
You have the 10 and the 12, and then sometimes the specials, but the 11, I never heard of it.
Yeah,
I'm not specialist. Okay, but
Yeah, 11 was used on some specialty automotive applications. I actually have an 11 by 125 helicoil set. They were used on a brake caliper that I used to have to repair.
Wow.
Yeah, when I was looking for that screw, that's all I could find was automotive stuff.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. They do everything backwards.
Yeah, back in the late '60s, early '70s, I was into motorcycles and repairing them, and I bought a bunch of these helicoil sets, and I think I was charging like $5 to put in a helicoil, something like that. And you'd be amazed how many people strip out, aluminum housings and spark plug holes and such. But I still got a whole bunch of those things left in a drawer. And I haven't needed one in 40 years.
I have the same thing, Harold, and I never have the right size if I do need it.
Helicoils are good on plastic. I use a lot of helicoils on Delrin.
Yeah.
I guess, Joe, do you think that a helicoil would be good if you're making a brand new thing and put it in there just to add strength to the aluminum?
And
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
No doubt about it. If you look at the
Racing
physics
blocks,
behind a
we used to
helicoil, it
do that all
expands
the
and bites
time.
in tighter as you torque it. So, absolutely.
I like it in cast iron too if you're going to be taking the bolt in and out a lot.
I agree.
That's a good idea.
Hey, Chuck, nice shirt, Chuck.
You like that? Huh?
I guess the rest of you guys didn't get the memo, huh?
I found another kind of inserts that I like to use. I don't remember what they are, but they use a standard thread size, and you thread it in, and then you drive it in. When it's got these little tabs in that you drive it in.
Yeah, they're hard to get out.
They are hard to get out. I used it for some plastic for a battle bot I was making, a little 3-pound battle bot.
I like the ones that you pull back on with pressure. You screw it in and then you squeeze it in like a hollow wall anchor. Have you ever seen those? Or
haven't
sheet
seen
metal and
that.
such?
I hadn't seen those.
Yeah, you put like a little hydraulic thing on it and it goes down inside and just squeezes the whole assembly back and it flares against the back side of the material. It's incredibly strong. Good for thin wall pipe tubing and structural shapes.
So, Joe, how do you enjoy doing that miniature lathe work?
Well, the picture made it look fun, but so far it has been, I'm enjoying it. Let's just say that I am truly enjoying it. I really am. I always wanted to build one ever since I was a little kid. I walked into a shop one time and they had one in the display case in the front of the shop. And I was just in love with it. Absolutely beautiful. But I'm getting down to the apron now, and so many things come into play when you're trying to gap the apron to the rack, to the bed, to the reverse cluster on the end. And there's about 9 things that need to just all end up perfectly to finish this lathe out. But so far, it's been a lot of fun. And it's a good-looking kit. I'm really throwing myself at this one. I like it.
Yeah, the
It's a good
castings
thing.
have been in pretty
Absolutely.
good shape.
Thanks, guys. It's,
I was-
the Ford Joe Chuck was fun.
You remember that the Caldwell Industries used to be up near Austin?
How long ago?
Oh, back in the 60s and 70s. It was in Caldwell, Texas. And they sold castings for steam engines and things.
I've only been here since '95.
Oh, well,
I'm a Jersey boy.
yeah. I
Really?
think they went out of business somewhere. I guess maybe in the 80s or somewhere in there. But I used to, drool over their catalog castings, but I never got the nerve to buy one and try to machine it.
When I was watching another YouTuber do a series on a steam engine, and somebody had dared me to make one, and I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to touch it. They said, "Well, would you do it if it showed up on your front porch?" And I said, "Well, it's unavoidable. If somebody wants to send me one, I might consider it." And somebody drove down from Arlington, Texas, and put it in my hands the next day.
Whoa.
It's about 3.5 hours north, and I've already got another viewer stopped by and gave me the shaper kit. So the shaper kit's on the shelf as well. So the lathe, then I got a couple of cannons I'll finish, and then the shaper kit's coming. But I really like these little kits. They'll test your metal, and if you mess it up, go get some spare parts. This company sells spare parts. So iron.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
I would need all their spare parts for sure.
You would need a whole nother kit, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Harold?
I need to buy 2 kits at least.
I'm gonna put the word out, and so you guys go get those things and try it. Make you a better machinist for sure by the time you're done. Or you'll give up the trade completely and go make cookies or something.
I think that will be a bit a challenge to do this in a drill press and a shaper. it's going to be a bit complicated.
I would say
I don't have a milling machine. And I think it must be possible, but it's going to take a few years and lots of words nobody wants to hear.
that would be a great competition, though. Make something on a machine that's absolutely not intended for that machine to make it. See how creative you can get.
Yeah, but that's a bit what I try to do with my YouTube channel. But there are limits. You see what I mean? You can make things, and then you can make fixtures and make bigger parts than your machine can handle, and all this is possible. But there are limits. Limits talking about precision, for example. At the full stroke of the ram of my shaper, there's a difference in height. I don't remember how much anymore, but you can't make a straight line. It's almost straight, but when you're gonna work in very small models like you do, I don't think you will have the perfect fit over the whole length.
I have to admit, I have zero experience with a shaper. I've never run one, never even turned one on.
When I was in high school back in the last century, and they had a shaper in the shop class in high school, and we had to make a little 1-inch square cube with that shaper. It had to be square within 2/1000ths, and I don't think I got a good grade.
But it's
See
perfectly
that question that
possible.
popped up about the casting? That gentleman, if he's listening, that's Clark over at Windy Hill Foundry. If you send him, if he can make you a casting
Yep.
Yeah.
Where does he work from, right?
out of his home.
But what
Yeah.
does he need? Does he need a solid model or a wax?
I don't know. Harold put the question up just a couple minutes ago.
Usually,
Typically, Clark can work from a 3D print or wood based.
Yeah, he's made them from
pattern
everything,
looking
Joe. 3D
It-
prints, wood molds.
It's
The
better if you
original
make the
part
pattern for
sometimes.
him, though.
You know, he made those things for Keith Rucker, the straight edges.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do check with him though before you make your pattern, because he can tell you what he actually needs on the drafts and all that stuff to make sure you do it right, so he doesn't have to do any field modifications to it.
Sure.
He's had to do that a couple times.
How many of you guys have 3D printers in your shop?
I do.
No.
Do you?
No.
I got
I'm
it. Go ahead.
It looks like something that would be fun to get into, but I think I'd just go overboard if I got into it. That's something I've avoided so far.
That's half the fun though, Joe.
I'm having too much fun as it is. I don't need any more distraction.
Mine's down right now. I need to fix the hot end, and I was upgrading the screws in it to Acme screws from threaded rod.
I used to run a machine at Soldier Orthopedics here in Austin, Texas. That was called an LOM, and it was sheet paper with a heat-activated glue on one side. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a 3D modeler like this, but the paper would advance and a heat roller would laminate it to the platen, and then a laser would cut the shape out. Platen would drop, paper would advance, laminate, laser, and we would build models that came out looking like they were carved out of wood.
Wow,
Very cool.
I heard of that.
That was LOM technology. It's real. It's old, much older than all this FDM and SLS and all this other stuff that's going on now. But we would do bones for the surgeons, so the surgeons could evaluate deteriorated joints before they ever cut the patient open, and we could design and supply implants for the surgery. And it was one in, cut them and get out. So it was really an amazing piece of technology for orthopedic applications.
Makes
Sounds
sense.
like it.
Very
Hey,
robust.
Chucky, is that an ender behind you?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
It looks like you have it upgraded.
So upgraded? No, it's just right out of the box from Banggood. Put it
Is it
together
really?
and it works.
He's got the Ender 3 Pro.
Ender 3 Pro.
Oh, okay. That's why it looks different.
Or
Okay.
version 3, whatever it is.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Great. I put it together and haven't. The only problem I've had is the cleaners come and they move the platen, and so I have to re-level it. But other than that, it's works
Put a
flawlessly.
sticker on it. Tell him to quit messing with it.
I did. I told him just no more.
Yeah, I got my 3D printer because I wanted to make casting patterns, and it's got the little grooves in it. Well, Mr. Pete said he doesn't worry about sanding them off or trying to smooth them down, and he makes perfect castings. So I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and try them just like they are.
Why doesn't anybody that's doing those use the high build primer on them and then just sand them smooth?
I was going to say high build primer, and then don't even sand them smooth, just clear coat it.
Yeah, that would give you a perfect finish.
Yeah, or maybe some Bondo. I mean, anything. It just depends on what you're doing. It may not matter for the casting.
Joe, do you do any casting, metal casting?
No, I do not.
I got introduced to that when I was in the metal shop class, like I say, back in the 60s.
That's the last time I cast anything was in metal shop class back in the 70s.
I haven't done it at all, but I'm in the process of building a foundry. We're going to build one that's out of a 35-gallon squat drum.
Yeah, that ought to make a pretty good foundry.
Yeah, I think we can get about the 12-inch diameter chamber out of it.
Yeah, you don't need to run it on propane or use motor oil or something like that if you're going to do any cast iron.
We made cannons in high school. That's all we made was cannons and candlesticks.
Oh, I did that too. I would drill out the piece of metal, put a fuse hole in it, and then I would drill out another piece of metal to cast the bullet. And then I'd go home and I'd take a firecracker and tear it open, pour it down inside the cannon, and stuff the fuse from it in the fuse hole, of course. Then I'd cut the fuse off on another one and stuff it in there and pack it with toilet paper, pack the bullet in, and then go about halfway through a cedar board.
How many times did you get suspended from school, Harold?
I didn't.
I think we went to the same school, Harold. I did the exact same thing.
I made a little gun out of that would shoot pellets using shotgun primers.
In metal shop in school?
No, in my dad's down in my dad's basement.
Oh, I was going to say, it sounds like a New Jersey high school to me.
It was a little
realize
action.
I was in school in Texas. It's different. People aren't as afraid.
I actually made a die set when I was in high school. The metal shop teacher knew that I came from a background of machining, so he gave me a project. He said, just don't tell anybody else in administration about it. But it was a die that you would actually use a 22 blank in to form sheet metal.
Yeah.
And he was making ashtrays or something like that. And you put this whole thing together, clamp it together, and hit the 22 shell, and it would explosive form the sheet metal.
I did that in high school.
Did that in high school, yeah.
That's ahead of its time. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun. That would have been before 1970.
In high school, I managed to make out with Elaine behind the metal shop and have all the shots. I put on quite a show for all the teachers.
Did you end up marrying her, Chuck?
No, I didn't. I did marry my high school sweetheart. Yeah.
I married somebody else's high school sweetheart.
There you go.
Unfortunately, they didn't have a machine or metal shop in my school when I graduated. They had some automotive stuff in there, but I don't think they had machining or welding or casting or anything like that.
The entire basement of my high school was dedicated to the industrial arts. We had mechanical drawing, we had wood shop, we had casting and welding technology, we had a full machine shop.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing setup, and what a wonderful opportunity to learn that stuff before you actually graduate.
Yeah, we did also. Matter of fact, when I first went to college, it was my intention to be an industrial arts teacher, and I ended up transferring into the engineering department, get my degree in mechanical engineering. But I was going to be an industrial arts teacher.
Well, they had it wasn't part of my high school. It was a vocational school that was about 100 yards away, and they trucked in another school into it. And because of that, the time for the classes were a little weird. So if you had one of those classes, you had to get down there quickly and scurry back up to the high school to get your next class. It was kind of inconvenient, but it worked.
That's the way the automotive tech programs were at our high school. Everybody got on a bus at a certain time and went to another school and came back. And that other school was dedicated to automotive repair, the same way our high school was dedicated to industrial arts. So it was an amazing setup. We had a lot of really nice race cars in our parking lot at our high school as a result of that.
Yeah, we had the same thing. The vocational was run by the county, and the vocational school with the automotive tech program in it was right next door to our high school.
Nice.
I never went over there because I was in the industry and I had to take all the college prep courses. I couldn't take the fun stuff.
Looks like Stan just checked in.
Hey, Stan.
Hello.
Hey, Stan.
Yes, Dan. When I was in school, we had all together, not in the same building, but in the same area. So we didn't have to travel very much, a little bit by foot. So we had the electricity class, and then the other building was the automotive class, and that was good, a bit of all together. But I think it was a bit too primitive, and how to say, what they teach us was not in I don't know how to tell you this, but they teach us all stuff what they don't do anymore. You see what I mean? So
typical.
we worked on old machines, and then when you come in industry, you make eyes like this. And, oh, is that the way it works now? Yes. So we learned basic things, a bit like in Napoleon time, but the really modern stuff we didn't do. We heard talking about CNC, but we never saw it from close.
Yeah,
Now, the funny thing, in fact, when I went to that school, I wanted to learn electronics because since always I'm interested in sound. So I wanted to learn electronics and sound systems and build myself. And I was not smart enough to do that. So I did the technical class, and after that I did the automotive classes.
I was always fascinated with the digital animation, like Pixar Industries, all these little monster movies and stuff like that. When I was in high school, I would have given my left arm to pursue that. I just didn't have the opportunity to, further my education in that direction. But I think that's probably where I would have ended up. Machining is just what I knew how to do when it came time to eat and put gas in my car. So I had to stick with it.
Same thing happened to me when I was going to community college. I went, for computer science. They were teaching outdated stuff. Back then it was VAX assembly. I don't know why they were teaching VAX assembly in 95, but it was already, 10 years out of date. And it was a prerequisite for C and some other stuff. It's like, why am I learning this? It disenchanted me. I quit after 2 semesters and started working for a local shop. And I've learned more from them than I ever would have learned from the community college.
My father was an electronic engineer, and he used to tell me by the time you graduate with a degree, what you learned in school is obsolete. He said, electronics moves that quick, and I had to believe it.
Yeah, same thing with computers.
Well, with computers, you wait a year and everything's obsolete.
Yep.
Yeah, not even. You buy one, you bring it home, it's obsolete.
The moment you click the button to buy, it's obsolete.
That's good. I like that.
It's like when you buy something on Amazon, as soon as you're done buying it, they ask you if you want to buy another one.
Yeah, the new one just came out.
I am not the most tech savvy person on the face of the earth, and as a matter of fact, I will go on the record right now in front of God and everybody and say I carried a flip phone until about 7 months ago. Swear to God, my kids even bought me a new flip phone as a joke, and I carried it for 5 years just to piss them off.
There you go.
Yep, why not? Right? Show them who's boss.
How did you get into CNC machining?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I got. I did a lot of complex orthopedic instrumentation, and I had a CNC resource. And at the end of the year, when I would do my taxes and figure out how much money I gave away in CNC work, I just stepped back and I said, I know what the machines can do. I don't know how to run them. I know what they're capable of. And looking at how much money I was giving to my vendors, anywhere between $60,000 and $100,000 a year, I just had to go get one.
Yep.
So I moved it into the shop. I went and bought one and moved it into the shop. And it sat there for almost 4 months without even being turned on. My wife came to the shop one day and she complimented me on how clean the machine was. She said, "You really take good care of this machine."
Whoops.
I said, "Yeah, it's." She goes, "Well, what have you made on it?" I said, "I haven't run it yet." And we took a second mortgage out on one of our rental houses to buy this equipment, right? So she goes, "What do you mean you haven't run it yet? Run it." I said, "I don't know how." I said, "Are you kidding me? We did this and you don't know how to run that machine?" So it was time to learn. I started putting wooden blocks in the vices and putting plastic in the collets and making sure all my offsets were 10 inches off the table and watching it dance, and watched a lot of YouTube videos, leaned on a lot of really talented people, and you can get there. You can really get there. My software is really powerful. I use Pro Engineer Wildfire to drive them. I can also, G control right at the monitor. So it was a hard learning curve, but it was out of necessity.
Is your programming conversational?
Both. I can program from a solid model, from a trajectory, from a line, from a volume, or I can just stand right at the monitor and do a conversational. Tell it to drill a hole, how deep, how, left hand, right hand, how fast. Yes. Very friendly.
Yeah, when I built that plasma table, I did a lot of the stuff, but just making a little short bit of the G code, running it through there to see if the thing would cut right.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine why I even built it. I hadn't flame cut anything in 40 years, hadn't needed to. And there I go, spent, I'm pretty sure I got $2,500 into building a CNC plasma table.
For the fun of it, Harold.
Well,
absolutely.
I think you must be getting senile or something.
What controller are you using on that plasma?
How about you, Ray? You got any CNC experience in you?
None, zero. Yeah, I watch Philip. That's it. And I have no idea how any of this stuff works. I don't understand the code. I know they run off G code, but I don't know, how to take a napkin drawing and turning it into a part. It's fascinating. Maybe someday, I don't know.
The thing that I didn't like, the hardest transition about running a CNC machine, and I'm not a CNC wizard by any stretch of the imagination, but I get the job done, is you lose your feel for, the resistance on the drill as the quill's coming down or turning the handle. Yeah. You're pushing an end mill through a piece of steel on a manual mill, and somebody goes, "Well, what's your feed rate?" So, I don't know. It feels right. The chips are coming off clean. It's not binding up or catching on fire. And when you get over to a CNC, you just don't know if that's 1,000 feet a minute or 25 feet a minute or 10 inches a minute. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a big learning curve. You learn you lose the feel, and being a good manual machinist is all about the feel. And the CNC takes that away from you 100%.
Yeah, well, Philip always told me the machine is stupid. You got to tell it everything.
100% stupid. It knows what to do, but it doesn't know where to do it.
Right.
And it'll remind you real quick that you forgot to tell it something.
Yeah. You got to look up those speeds and feeds on the charts or the calculators and stuff and hope that it's right for your application.
And there's nothing like snapping off a 3/4 end mill at 100 inches a minute, 7,000 RPM. You ought to hear the bang that makes.
I guess so. I broke a 1/2 inch the other day.
You broke a 1/2 inch too?
Yeah, it was one of those long ones, about 6 inch long.
Oh boy!
And I had it. I should have been using a shorter one, and I sped up just a little bit, and bang, there he goes. And I don't know how it kept hitting me in the face, but I don't even know where it went.
I think my right shoulder muscle's probably more developed now because I stand there with my finger on that emergency shut-off button for the first 10 pieces, waiting for something to go sour. It's like a ninja fast with my right hand now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, Harold, what control software are you using on your plasma table?
Mach 4.
Okay.
I should have went with that free stuff. It's been a lot better, but I was watching. I don't remember who it was. I'm almost certain it was James Clow. and he got Mach 4 for something. And I thought, well, this guy's pretty dang smart. If he's choosing Mach 4, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I much prefer Linux CNC over the Windows-based controllers any day.
Yeah, I guess really I should have, but you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I never built a CNC anything before.
Yeah, that Winky's controller seems to be working pretty good for him on his wood lathe. He's doing some pretty cool stuff with it now.
Yeah, that's tempting me to build one of them. I don't have a wood lathe, but I keep looking at Craigslist, and one of these days I'm going to find a really nice strong wood lathe going for sale for $100, and then I'll get into it.
Put it on your Christmas list, Harold. Make sure you have part numbers and catalog numbers to boot. I found out that works really well when the Christmas season rolls around.
I do that every year.
Amazon wish list.
Amazon wish list.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Hey, Joe, were you the kind of guy that took the Sears Roebuck catalog toy section and circled all the page numbers and items when you were a kid?
Guilty. Yeah. I'd tear them out and stick them in my dad's sock drawer and leave them under the windshield wiper of the car. And I was not subtle at all. There's something I wanted, I let him know about it.
My dad used to leave magazines opened up on the pages of the stuff with ink pens kind of pointed at them and stuff like that on the coffee table all the time. My mom never got the hint.
What was he asking for? What'd you get your dad? What was his thing? What'd he like?
He was a gunsmith back in the day. I'd get him tools and stuff when I was a kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
There wasn't much I could buy from my dad. He was into electronics, and I just didn't understand any of it. No moving parts. I'm lost.
yeah, I had a brother that was really into electronics. He was in the Navy. He did the radar and stuff like that. He in Japan, I think, for 4 or 5 years. Then he went to work for Sylvania in the end, and he was an engineer, electrical engineer. But he didn't teach me anything.
Well, my uncle was
Maybe you didn't ask, huh? Yeah.
My uncle was an electronics and computer guy. Of course, my dad was the mechanically inclined. I'd like to think I got the best of both worlds from him. I didn't learn much from my uncle, but I still got the desire to learn that stuff and picked it up when I was a kid.
Well, he left.
I wish I paid more attention to it. It's fascinating. It's very applicable to many fields. I just didn't. It didn't never sank in. All the resistance and capacitors and diodes and never sank in. My father couldn't hang a picture straight either, so we're even.
Yeah, I thought I was going to go that direction too. Electronics didn't work out.
And I started playing with the machining and stuff because I wanted to make robots. And then I built my CNC and realized it was a robot. So I was happy.
You mentioned the BattleBot before. Did you ever go into competition with the BattleBot?
Not with BattleBots. We've got a little competition here locally called Kill Switch. We run these little 3-pound robots in an arena that we built that's in a 6x12 trailer. It's got sledgehammer, spikes, flippers, and a flamethrower in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. Nice.
And I built mine out of MDF, or not MDF, I'm sorry, HDM, high density, the high density plastic crap. I can't remember the name of it.
UHMW?
Yeah, UHMW.
I hate that stuff.
That's
Big in the medical field. It's great in the medical field. Wears like iron,
Melbourne's
but
much better.
don't try to deburr it. It's horrible to deburr.
I found my Noga to deburr it real good.
You know what we used to use at the medical place, and don't ever tell don't let this go public.
You can say that for live. Go ahead.
Broken light bulbs. Frosted broken light bulbs, like 100-watt light bulb, put a rag around it, break it, take a piece off about the size of a nickel. It's got the concave shape to it. It's got the sharp edge. You drag that along a piece of UHMW PE, and it comes off like beautiful, like it's molded. It's so beautiful.
Wow.
Try that sometime.
All right.
But don't let the FDA find out that you're deburring medical implants with broken glass. It's probably not going to. It wouldn't go over well.
Noga sent me a ceramic deburring tool for plastics. I haven't tried that yet to see what it does.
I've got one of those. Somebody sent me that.
Yeah.
I used it on aluminum. Worked pretty good on aluminum. I don't know if I wasn't supposed to do that, but it worked.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'll have to look at the instructions on it again. I hadn't used it yet. It's in the toolbox, the space.
You read the instructions?
Rarely, but if it's something that's totally foreign that I've never laid eyes on, I might glimpse it.
One instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, real men don't read instructions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's a total failure, it won't work at all. Go get the instructions. You'll find out what's
You usually
wrong.
got to dig them out of the trash can.
Yeah.
No, I'll usually find my wife sitting on the couch reading them.
Yeah.
I'll be out in the garage throwing things around, and she'll come out with a sheet go.
Did you
Yeah.
do this? No. Well, that's your problem.
What drives me crazy about women is they've never seen one of them, never been around one of them. You lost it. They'll walk in and say, "Well, is that it right there?"
Yeah, like a QC inspector that's looking at a field of 1,000 pieces, and they'll pick out the one bad one in the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's just amazing. You know, they don't even know what it is or what you do with it. You tell them, "Well, I lost to such and such," and was that it right there?
That's my wife.
I was working on something one day here at the house and using a Forstner bit, and I walked away. 2 days later, I start looking for the damn thing. I can't find that thing anywhere. So the wife gets on Amazon and orders me a new one. It comes in and I use it. And then I go back to what I was working on later on, and there the damn thing is sitting in the back of the CNC enclosure, hidden behind some blocks of wood that I didn't see. Apparently, I laid it back there and totally missed it, and it would have bit me.
Well,
Now, I got a
got
funny. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Got a funny story for you as far as women and intuition and such are concerned. Quickie. We bought some hanging plants for the front of our house up in New Jersey. And when we brought them home, realized that the hanging hook was about 3 inches higher on one plant than it was on the other. But the chains hanging in front of the house were the same length. So when we hung the plants, one was up here and one was down here. I said, I got this. I went running for the garage to go get a pair of pliers and take some links out of one of the chains. I came back. My wife's got the plants hanging exactly the same height. And it just blew my mind how she fixed it without pliers, right? Oh, no, she just took the hook and moved it up 3 links. I couldn't see that. I could not see that. It's
Where in New Jersey did you live, Joe?
Morris County. I lived in Randolph,
Oh, okay.
lived in Bud Lake. I lived in
Yep.
Morristown, Parsippany.
Yep.
Originally
I have
from
a cousin
Baltimore.
who lives out there.
It's a beautiful state, super expensive, but really
Hey
nice.
guys, I want to run something by y'all. I have a couple projects on hold because of the price of steel, square tube and such. Does anyone have any insight when this stuff's going to start coming down? Like, for example, a stick of 2x2 by 120 wall that used to be $30 is now $100.
Yeah,
And
you know why, Ray? You're using that structural bracket for all these COVID shields and, the restaurants and the partition. I swear to God. Same thing with 1/4 inch and under clear plastic. Try to buy that now. Good luck.
Yeah. I don't know, but I got 2 gate projects and a fab table base that's basically on hold because it went from a $300 project to a close to $1,000 project.
Oh,
No recycle scrap yards down there?
Chuck, I tried them, but it's nothing but junk. And I don't like working with junk. I don't mind taking rust off, but I have a problem when I have a bent piece of square tube. I mean, that's not something you can really correct easily.
No.
We had one here, but they closed after the COVID where there was new product coming into their scrap yard. It's just clean, just really good stuff, good prices.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but they closed now.
Well, that's like all these guys that live up in the Rust Belt up there where all the factories packed up and went to China. They can buy, a really nice Bridgeport for $1,000. Whereas down here where I'm at, they sell the junk for $5.
right.
Yep.
Well, go up there and get it for $1,000. It costs you $5 to get it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the deal.
Right.
I got
If you see, for example, the scrap yards for the ships in Pakistan, India, where they scrap all these big sea vessels. If you know that on every sea vessel there is a workshop with milling machine, lathe, and whatever drill press, and they recycle everything. They recycle the lifeboats, the bed sheets, you name it. In India, they have it. But what can they do with 5,000 lathes? But you can buy them. I searched the internet in India websites. Unfortunately, I cannot read this Indian writing, but I think it must be really cheap because they have too much. You can buy them. I have no idea what they do with it, with all these beautiful machines. Because if you think that a sea vessel is on the sea for 20 or maximum 25 years, which means that the machines inside are maximum 25 years old. So for a machine, in fact, that's new.
Yeah.
And it's always in a nice and warm environment, so almost perfect, because in the engine rooms on a sea vessel, and I know what I'm talking about, I think, telling you it's hot. It's really hot and dry.
And they
So these machines, that they come out as new, but I have no idea where they're going.
Hey, Rusty, do you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
So an iPhone translates with the camera. So if you go to translate and you
I tried that, but if you want to have a good laugh, then you use this, and then.
we got an automatic vacuum product, and it was all in Chinese, and just turned on the camera, and it told me how to switch it all to English, just letting the camera translate it.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on the dialect.
Yeah, sometimes it gives really weird text. In fact, you should take pictures of it and put it on Facebook, because sometimes you can have big laughs with it. But
Hey, Chuck, does it have one that translates English to English?
I bought that lock-in tool post grinder, and the manual I found online was in PDF was in Czech, and I tried translating that. It didn't work too good. I fortunately found an English version of that was very similar to mine, and that worked.
Yeah.
I doing motorcycle work, and it got me introduced to the fact that different languages do things differently. In most of your European languages, they'd say something like the house I go into, instead of I go in a house. And I discovered these little differences reading about the piston, the gudgeon pin into, put it or something, And I got to looking at English is apparently the only language turned around the other way.
Not only, I work several times with a Russia crew, but I don't speak Russian, but the typical language we use on the sea vessels is English. So all these Russian people speak English, but they make their sentences in Russian, but they put English words in it. So sometimes it's completely reverse. So if some guy comes to you and he say, "You help me," in fact, he means, "I'm gonna help you." You see this?
Yeah.
I could get you in trouble.
Yeah.
No,
So
no,
I did a
because
little prep for the show
this is sailor's English. It's not English. It's sailor's English, and we know that everybody in this business knows that our English is far from perfect, but it's always the same things we say. We talk about connection, we talk about diesel, fuel, and you see it's always the same terms come back. When you work with Turkish people, for example, their English is really not good, but they understand connection, reducer, spanner 24, and all these things, because it's on every ship is the same.
And a few curse words and intermixed too, right?
I cannot make crosswords in English. I can in French and in Dutch, but in English, I try, but I'm really not good at it.
So Harold, I did a little prep for the show.
Yeah.
Where
Oh,
where do we get our ideas from, right?
Yeah.
So when I started in this hobby, it was before YouTube, and so I used to sit there and read this guy,
Upside down. There you
all
go.
right, that was my
That
books,
explains a lot.
learning the books, right?
That was my college text.
Then it was Home Shop Machinist.
Yeah.
And I've got these back all the way to 96 and lots of projects in there to learn from and stuff. And then I found this guy. He's local and I've never met him. And he's probably walked to his shop, but his name's Frank Ford, frets.com. He repairs guitars and he's got 400 projects here, shop tips that are just amazing, stuff like that. So that's where I got much of my education on and ideas of a lot of things that I've built. It was basically from the magazines and from online before YouTube. Now, of course, everything's watching YouTube.
Yeah. Well, YouTube's like a free university,
Yeah.
except you're not learning basket weaving and social justice every time.
Well, you got to be careful who you watch. There's some stuff out there you can watch that's just not good practice.
Oh, well, yeah. If you're
100%
going to
agree.
learn it, you got to watch 3 or 4 or 5 different guys do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because sometimes you hear people telling things that no, it is never gonna work. So indeed, watch YouTube, but filter it a bit to learn. Yeah, absolutely. I learned a lot from YouTube.
Yeah.
If you see it in more than a half a dozen places, chances are it's good information. Chances are.
Yeah. That's why you got to watch several darn videos to find out.
Agreed. 100%.
Find the common denominator throughout these videos.
True. They say you had asked what's the inspiration for projects. I would say that necessity is the mother of invention, and inspiration is a byproduct of that. When you run across something that you're just having a hard time with, or there's got to be a better way, there's your inspiration right there. And so it's category specific. It could be anything. It could be construction. It could be machining. It could be anything. So I think it's just real world that inspires most of us to do the things that we do.
Yeah.
I know.
Go ahead.
I have a toolbox full of things that I've made over the years, and half the people that would root through my toolbox would look at it and go, what the heck is that for? But I know exactly what it's for and 12 different ways to use it. And it's like those alignment pins that I offer out.
I got one of those.
Did you? Have you tried it?
I think I used it once, but probably incorrectly.
Hey, it works like it takes.
Hey, I've only used that rotary table once. I emailed you back and forth about getting that rotary table. I don't know if you remember or not. Talked to you about getting a 10-inch rotary table.
That's a big one.
It is a big one.
But you're going to make sure you get a die table with a hydraulic jack to put that on your Bridgeport.
Actually, the space where we work also has a durable medical equipment recycler. They send out durable medical equipment to people. And they had an electric man lift that was broken. And all that was wrong with it was it needed new casters and needed new batteries. So I got new casters and put new batteries in it, and it's good for 300 pounds.
Nice. That'll do it.
That's what I use to pick up the rotary table or the vise or anything else that's heavy around there.
Yeah, don't hurt your back on those. Those rotary tables can get heavy quick.
Yeah.
Chuck's got a nice instrument there on camera. That's what a great thing that is. I got one of those.
No. I don't have it yet. I'm the high bidder. I watched your video this morning.
Not anymore, Chuck.
That's a fantastic little tool to have, Chuck. You're gonna keep outbidding whoever's bidding on it by $1.
Okay, so what is that?
It's for measuring bores and undercuts and such.
Oh, okay.
Watch Joe's video. It's great. I watched it this morning. I watched it 2 years ago, but great video.
Yeah, I tell you, when there's nothing else to get in there and make a measurement, that thing will get the job done.
Uh-oh.
And where was that on bid at?
Who just outbid me? Somebody just outbid me. God damn it.
All right, I want everybody to start bidding $1 extra on that item like right now.
I'm already lost.
Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Welcome.
Hey. Has anybody ever started a project and not finished it?
Oh yeah.
That float lock device that I started.
I think that's a bit a useless question. No?
Do you guys know what this is?
Is it one of your projects you started and material for it?
Is that a Keith Fenner roller set?
Yep. It's been sitting here on the bench for almost 4 years.
Oh, come on, Dean, get on it. It's a fun
Only
little
took me
project.
3 to build mine.
The sad thing is I've had a couple projects where I needed it, but it was still in the box.
Got to save something for retirement.
Yeah.
That's my excuse.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully one of them.
I think there's a big difference in projects between the hobby shop and the professional shop, of course.
That was
In the
only
hobby.
3 years, Dean.
Okay, so I'm right on
Was that a
schedule.
wheel balancer?
What's that?
What was that?
That's the Keith
That's
Fenner
the Keith Fenner roller kit.
roller project.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I hadn't seen that one. I'll have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah, they're
He
very
sells the raw materials.
nice kit.
I thought of one of those, if you had 2 of those rollers side by side, you could roll a car up onto it and clean the rims real easy because you could spin the wheel as you were trying to clean the wheels. I'm dead serious. Did you ever try to clean a motorcycle rim?
Yeah.
You got the chain guard and you got the fenders and the shocks, everything getting in your way. It'd be awesome to just be able to spin that back tire and, sitting on something like that would do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Buy 2.
I had a 2x4 thing with notches at the top that I used for relacing motorcycle wheels. It's just right. I had a piece of metal on the side to put a indicator on it, and I could get that thing, true pretty quick using that.
Did you ever race or ride, Harold?
I'm too chicken. I had a 125 Suzuki water cooled dirt bike.
No.
And I was out jumping over all this junk with it. And I got out about 40 feet. I run low on fuel and seized up the engine. I was in Saudi Arabia. It took me a month there to get the parts back.
Oh.
Wow. Hey, I've got a quick cheap tool tip here.
Go for it.
You guys ever used one of these?
Yeah.
This is one of the cheaper air blowguns you can buy, and these things are awesome. This is an Astro. They're like $15, and
Where'd you get
it? They got a good feel, and you can control them. You can regulate them. Well, a lot of them, as soon as you touch the trigger, you got full force.
I had
Where'd you
one
get
of those from Harbor Freight, and I hooked it on the hose, and I started to hit the lever on it, and boom, the thing disappeared. I haven't seen any of the people.
Yeah, there's some copies. I started out with this one. It's basically the same one. I've had this one for 30 years, and it's just finally starting to leak. But yeah, for something cheap, it actually is a good product.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, I try to keep the air out of the shop, away from the machines, because too many people around get chips in the eye.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen full-scale facilities in New Jersey shut down cold because the compressors collapsed.
Mm.
All the machining just ends. No air, no chips. That's just the way it is.
Wow.
Air is just the go-to. Without the air blowing off the parallels and the fixtures and the waves, forget it. Nothing happens.
Evil polluting refineries and evil polluting chemical plants control every instrument in there with air. All the control valves, they're all run on air. You should see the excitement when the air goes down.
I'll bet that's a problem.
Yeah, things get quiet quick. Everything just shuts down everywhere.
You would hope there'd be a check valve on every line that's holding anything important.
Well, that's in the design. You have to design it that the air fail on a valve is the right safe direction. If it should fail open, then you've got the spring on the other side. It fails open. If it should fail shut, springs on the top side, slams it shut. So that's what you do for that.
You run from the building when that happens. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Get out.
Oh, I tell you, it's a lot of work when you have something like that. Everything shuts down all at once, which everything gets all messed up and out of kilter.
Yeah. Yes.
All
right, interesting comment.
We almost lost power yesterday. I kept getting notices that we're going to have, rolling power outages because of the heat. I was right in the middle of turning some parts on the lathe. I'm trying to rush to get it done.
You ever catch a blackout on a CNC machine about 10,000 lines into an 80,000 line program?
Oh, God. That's akin to losing power on your 3D printer, 2 hours into a 5-hour job.
Right? You just turn the machine off and go home. You're just so enraged at that point. You just walk away. You don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, that's going to be world crushing. All right, guys, we've had our hour. And
already?
Yeah, already.
That's
Wow,
great.
that went quick.
Yes, it did. And
my
I want to thank all our viewers that were watching, and I want to thank all the people that are going to watch it after it goes on the website. And for you guys that are here, of course, you know that after I end the broadcast, you can stay here in the room and talk as much as you want to. All right.
Very good. Thanks for inviting me, Harold. Appreciate it. Nice talking to all of you guys as well.
Yeah, great seeing you.